Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe. Get ready for real emotional and thrilling stories from Black adults that will keep you hooked till the end. I barely slept the night after discovering the warehouse video. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Mia tired, terrified, whispering my name as if she believed I was already coming for her. That belief, that hope. It was the only thing keeping me upright. By morning, I felt numb but determined. Liam showed up at my door before the sun had even risen. His hoodie was soaked from the unexpected rain outside, and he looked just as restless as I felt. "You ready?" he asked quietly. "No," I admitted. "But we're going anyway." We drove toward the industrial district, again not to the warehouse we had already infiltrated, but to the location at the edge of the marina, the one Curran's call history kept pointing toward. The sky was still gray, heavy with leftover rain, and the streets were nearly empty. The silence was unsettling, like the whole city knew something was about to happen. When we reached the docks, the water below was dark and restless. Old fishing boats, rusted shipping containers, and broken lights created an eerie atmosphere. It looked like a place where secrets came to hide. "This is where her phone pinged on the night she went missing," Liam said, checking his tablet again. "Whatever happened here." I stepped out of the car and inhaled the cold, salty air. My heart thudded painfully against my ribs. "Mia? Were you here?" I whispered. We walked slowly between rows of old storage units, their metal walls covered in peeling paint and graffiti. Liam held a flashlight, even though morning light was slowly creeping in. I kept scanning everything, every shadow, every sound, every broken lock. Halfway down the row, Liam suddenly stopped. "Ava, look at this." He pointed at a storage unit with a fresh chain lock. "New metal. Clean surface. Not like the others. Someone's using this recently," he said. I stepped closer and saw faint marks on the ground, footprints, dragged lines, and what looked like scuff marks caused by someone resisting. My stomach tightened. "Mia?" I whispered again, before we could think further. A loud bang echoed somewhere behind the docks. I froze. Liam grabbed my arm and pulled me beside a container. Footsteps. Several. We crouched behind the metal, breath held. Listening, two men were talking. Boss said move the girl today. One said. My heart flipped. Girl. They'll come back for her eventually. The other muttered. And I'm not trying to be here when that happens. Liam and I exchanged a silent look. It was them. The kidnappers. The men walked past us, unaware of our presence. Tattoos on their necks, heavy boots, and black jackets. They didn't look like ordinary criminals. They looked organized. Trained out. Once they disappeared around the corner, Liam whispered, "We need to get in that storage unit. Now." He picked the lock with tools he kept hidden in his jacket. I stayed on lookout, pulse racing at every small sound. After a tense minute, the lock finally clicked open. The door screeched slightly as it lifted. Inside. It was colder than the outside air. The walls were bare, but in the corner sat a chair with ropes scattered around it. A piece of fabric lay on the floor, and my heart nearly broke. It was part of Mia's shirt. I grabbed it with shaking hands. She was here. My voice cracked. She was actually here. Liam's jaw tightened. "Which means we're close, Ava." But before I could respond, headlights flashed outside. A black SUV. Not just any SUV, sleek, new. Tinted windows. Someone powerful. Someone who didn't need to hide. "Mrs. Clark," I breathed. "It has to be her." Liam peeked through the cracks in the door. "We need to leave now." But I wasn't ready to leave. Not without anything that could tell me where Mia was now. I scanned the unit again. In the far corner, tucked behind a wooden pallet, something glinted. A phone. I rushed over and picked it up. It wasn't Mia's. It was Corinne's. My pulse stopped. Corinne, the woman who kept showing up, had been here too. "Liam? Look at this." He stared at the device, shock spreading across his face. "This means she's involved." "This means," but footsteps cut him off. Someone was approaching. Fast. Panicked. We slipped out the back of the unit, ducking behind a row of containers. The SUV door slammed. A woman's heels clicked aggressively across the pavement. I peeked carefully. "Mrs. Clark. She was here in person. Why?" "Shetty Ildenburg." Her voice, cold and sharp, carried through the air. "Move." The girl. "Now, I don't care where, just make sure her sister never finds her." My heart. Shattered. Never finds her. Liam tightened his grip on my arm to keep me from running. Out into the open, not yet. Not like this. As Mrs. Clark disappeared inside the storage unit, Liam whispered, Ava? Things are much worse than we thought. I already knew, but I also knew one thing more. I wasn't stopping. Not now. Not ever. Asterisk, I don't remember how long Liam and I stayed crouched behind that shipping container, listening to Mrs. Clark's heels echo across the concrete. Every sharp click felt like a countdown, a warning that the woman we thought was simply powerful was something much darker. When her footsteps faded, Liam finally exhaled. We need to go. Someone else might show up. But I couldn't move. My eyes were glued to Corinne's phone in my shaking hands. Corinne had been here. Corinne had been part of this. And that meant the web around Mia's disappearance was wider than I ever imagined. Ava? Liam whispered urgently. Please, we're exposed. I forced myself up, heart beating so hard I felt dizzy. We slipped through the maze of containers, moving quickly but low, sticking to the shadows until we reached the edge of the docks. Only when the car came into sight did I breathe again, still. Something felt wrong. Too quiet. Too still. As if the entire marina was holding its breath. When we reached the car, Liam unlocked it, but I grabbed his arm before he opened the door. Wait, he froze. What? Look. I pointed to the side mirror. A small red light blinked beneath the car. Liam inhaled sharply. Ava, don't move. The world went silent. My chest tightened so violently I couldn't breathe. What is it? A tracker, he whispered. Someone put a tracker on your car. My skin turned cold. They knew we were coming. They've been following you, Liam corrected, voice low and tense. Probably since the night Mia disappeared. My mind raced, connecting terrifying dots. If they knew about me, if they knew where I went, if they knew I was getting close, then Mia could be moved. Hidden, or worse. Liam knelt slowly, removed the blinking device, and tossed it into the water. The splash sounded too loud, like a gunshot cutting through the morning fog. We can't use your car, he said. Not now. Then what do? We walk until we're out of range. And then we call a ride from a clean number. We started down the sidewalk, keeping our heads low. I felt exposed, like a sniper's scope was trained on my back. The whole time, Corinne's phone grew heavier in my hand. Do you think it still works? I asked after several minutes of silence. Try it. I hesitated, then powered it on. At first, nothing happened. The screen flickered, flashed, then finally lit up. One unread message. Sent at 3:17 a.m. just a few hours ago. From unknown. Drop the girl by noon. No mistakes this time. My stomach twisted. Drop the girl. Liam's face went pale. Noon? That's in a few hours. I opened the full thread. Most of the messages were deleted. But 3 remained. Keep her quiet. No contact unless needed. Payment after delivery. My hands trembled so hard I almost dropped the phone. Payment, delivery, like my sister was. A package. I blinked away tears. This wasn't the time to break. Liam gently took the phone from me. Ava, this is huge. This proves Karen was involved with whoever took Mia. But why? My voice cracked. Corinne was a family friend. She used to bring my mom flowers. She held Mia when she was a baby. Why would she do this? Liam's jaw tightened. Maybe she needed money. Maybe someone forced her. Maybe she got trapped. But right now, we focus on one thing, finding Mia. I whispered. He nodded. We kept walking until we reached an abandoned bus stop. Liam used one of those prepaid apps to call a ride under a fake name. While we waited, the wind grew harsher, whipping my hair across my face. The fear in my chest was deep, but underneath it, something new began to form. Anger. Not wild anger, but cold, controlled, focused. If Mr. Merslark wanted me to stop searching, she made the wrong enemy. The rideshare dropped us a mile from Liam's apartment so no one could trace it. We hurried inside, and Liam immediately pulled up the message metadata. It's routed through a scrambled server, he muttered. But I can get a tower location. Do it? He typed rapidly. I paced behind him, every second feeling like a lifetime. Finally, he looked up, eyes wide. The phone's last signal came from a private property outside the city. A rural area. Isolated. No cameras. Nani breath froze. Do you think that's where they're taking her? Liam didn't answer right away. He just stared at me with an expression I had never seen on him before. Fear. Ava, he said slowly. That property belongs to Mrs. Clark's husband. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. They're taking Mia to the Clark's estate? Not the main house, Liam said. There's a second structure on the land. Like a guest house, or something else. Something else. A place to hide a girl. A place no one would look. A place powerful people used when they wanted someone to disappear. I swallowed hard. We're going there. Iva, I don't care how dangerous it is. That's my sister. Liam looked at me for a long moment, then sighed in surrender. Okay, but we do this smart. And together. I nodded together, but deep inside I already knew. No matter how smart we were, no matter how prepared, nothing could prepare us for what waited on that property, because this time, we weren't just chasing kidnappers. We were walking into the lion's den. I never imagined I would voluntarily walk toward danger. But the thought of Mia locked away in some hidden building on the Clark's property pushed every fear aside. She wasn't just a missing person in a police file. She was my sister. My only family's left. And no one was going to keep her from me. Liam drove us toward the outskirts of the city in his old pickup truck. The sun hung low, turning the sky a dull orange, but the deeper we went into the woods, the darker everything became. Trees pressed closely on both sides of the road, thick and wild, blocking out the light. This area has no cell towers, Liam said, checking his map. If something goes wrong, we won't be able to call for help. I'm not thinking about what could go wrong, I said. Only about finding Mia. He glanced at me. I know. But we need a plan. We'll make one on the way. Truth was, I didn't want a plan. Plans break. Plans leave room for hesitation. I needed focus. I needed to move. But when we reached the turnoff toward the Clark estate, my chest tightened. The dirt road leading inside looked untouched. Almost too perfect, no tracks, no signs of life. Just silence thick enough to choke on. We drove slowly, tires crunching over gravel. After a few minutes, the trees opened up, revealing a massive iron gate, black, heavy, intimidating. It stood like a warning. Turn back. You don't belong here. Liam stopped the truck. This is motion activated, he whispered. If we approach, someone on the inside will know. We can go around. There's barbed wire, he said. Cameras. Infrared sensors. I climbed out of the truck anyway. Ava, we're getting in, I said firmly. One way or another. Liam hesitated, then followed as we walked along the fence line. The evening light disappeared completely. The forest grew darker, colder. Crickets stopped chirping. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. We eventually reached a section where the fence had a gap at the bottom, small, but big enough for someone determined. Animals probably use this, Liam murmured. Good, I said. Tonight we're animals. We crawled under the fence. The cold dirt clung to my clothes and my heart hammered so violently my vision blurred. Once we stood inside the property, everything felt wrong. Too quiet. Too still. Like the air itself was watching. The Clark family mansion was far ahead, bright lights, tall windows, security cameras everywhere. But to the left, deeper into the woods, stood a smaller structure, large enough to hide someone. Remote enough to do anything unnoticed. There, I whispered. Liam nodded. That's the building I saw on the satellite image. We moved through the trees carefully, avoiding the open lawn. My ears strained for any noise, voices, footsteps, engines, but all I heard was my heartbeat, halfway there. Liam stopped suddenly and grabbed my wrist. Look. A guard, armed, standing outside the smaller building. He wasn't pacing or checking anything. He simply stood there, like he was guarding something important. Someone important. Mia, I whispered. I crouched lower, hands shaking. Liam, we have to take him out. No, he whispered back, eyes wide. We can't fight an armed guard. I'm not leaving without her. I know. But we need to be smart. If he raises an alarm, 20 more guards will come. That's why we take him silently. Liam swallowed hard. Ava, you're not trained for this. No, I said softly. But I'm motivated. We stayed hidden behind a tree as the guard lit a cigarette. The flame briefly illuminated his face, scarred, cold, and motionless. Someone who wouldn't hesitate to hurt another person. Someone who would hurt my sister. I stepped forward. But Liam held me back. Wait, look. Another figure appeared behind the guard. A woman. Even before she stepped fully into the light, I recognized her. Karen. Here on the Clark's property. Talking to the guard like she belonged. I felt my entire body freeze. How deep is she in this? Liam whispered. Karen handed the guard something, a small bag. Money? He nodded and stepped aside, letting her into the building. My nails dug into my palms. She was visiting. May, she knew exactly where she was. I was shaking with anger now. But I forced myself to stay still. Breathe slowly, stay hidden. Seconds later, the guard turned and walked a few steps away. Probably giving Karen privacy. That was our moment. Ava, Liam whispered, reading my mind. If we're doing this, we only get one shot, I know. We go together, yes. We slipped through the trees, every footstep calculated. I could hear my breathing, shallow and fast. I could hear Liam's shirt rustling as he moved beside me. And I could hear the guard's footsteps crunching softly on the gravel. We got close. 10 feet, 8, 5. Suddenly, the guard shifted, turning slightly too soon. His eyes narrowed. Whose? Liam lunged first. The impact wasn't loud, but the struggle was brutal. I grabbed the guard's arm, forcing it down before he could reach his weapon. He fought hard, stronger than I expected, but adrenaline gave me strength I didn't know I had. Finally, Liam hit the nerve point in his neck he'd learned from online self-defense tutorials. The guard collapsed, unconscious. I stared at him, chest heaving. Liam grabbed my hand. Ava. It's now or never. I nodded. We stepped toward the door Corinne had entered moments ago. I reached for the handle, praying, begging, hoping. Mia, please be inside. And then I pushed the door open. The door creaked open slowly, and a cold rush of air hit my face, sharp, metallic, and suffocating. For a moment, I couldn't see anything. The room was dim, the only light coming from a flickering bulb hanging unevenly from the ceiling. My heart pounded so loudly it drowned out every other sound. Mia? My whisper cracked in the air. Liam stepped in behind me, scanning the corners with tense, alert eyes. The room was larger inside than it appeared from the outside. It looked like an old storage facility but had been emptied out and repurposed. Concrete walls, metal shelves pushed to one side, and a single heavy chair bolted to the floor. My chest tightened. That chair. The ropes beside it. This was where they had tied her. I moved slowly, my footsteps echoing on the concrete floor. Every echo sounded like her voice crying, calling for me, begging to be found. Mia? I whispered again. Voice trembling, but she wasn't there. The room was empty. Except for one person. Corinne. She was standing on the opposite side of the room, near a small table piled with files. She turned when she heard us, and her eyes widened, fear, guilt, shock all flickering at once. Ava, what are you doing here? She stuttered. I felt something explode inside me. How could you? My voice cracked with rage and heartbreak. You helped them take my sister. Corinne backed up, hands raised. I can explain. No. The sound tore out of me. You don't get to explain. You don't get to say anything. You were supposed to be family. You were supposed to protect us. Tears welled in Karen's eyes, but I didn't care. Not now, not after everything. Liam stepped beside me, tense and ready. Where's Mia? He demanded. Corinne's breath hitched. She looked at the floor. They moved her. My knees nearly gave out. No. No, please don't say that. She's alive, Corinne said quickly. I swear it. They just moved her because Mrs. Clark found out I was talking to someone. Talking to who? Liam asked. Corinne looked right at him. You. My stomach dropped. What? Liam said sharply. Corinne wiped her tears with shaking hands. I was trying to help Mia. I was sending information anonymously. But Mrs. Clark noticed data leaks and confronted me. I didn't tell her it was you. But she knew it was someone. And she punished Mia for it, I whispered. Karen nodded miserably. Yes, the rage that hit me was like fire in my blood. You have 30 seconds. I said quietly, stepping closer to her. Tell me where they took her. Karen swallowed hard. I only know part of it. They moved her this morning. Mr. Merslark said something about the cabin. What cabin? Liam asked. Karen shook her head helplessly. I don't know. They don't tell me everything. You lied, I said. You always knew more. No, Ava, listen, shut up. It ripped out of me before I even reality. Whole body shook with fury. You watched her get taken. You watched her disappear. You helped them hide her. And you want me to believe you don't know where she is? Corinne started crying harder. I was scared. Mrs. Clark controls this entire county, Ava. She owns the police. She owns businesses. She owns people. I tried to get out. I tried to stop it, I swear. Then tell me what you do know. I hissed. Corinne wiped her trembling hands across her face and pointed to the stack of files on the table. In there. Everything I collected. Notes, names, dates, details I overheard. I grabbed the files and flipped through them. My stomach twisted again. Dozens of pages, transactions, coded messages, lists, locations, schedules. And Mrs. Clark wasn't just part of this operation. She was running it. Liam skimmed over a page. This is bigger than a kidnapping ring. Corinne nodded miserably. Mr. Merslark moves people, girls, young women. Mia wasn't the first, Ava. My blood ran cold. And you helped her? Corinne sobbed. I didn't know at first. By the time I realized it was too late. She threatened my family. She said if I didn't help, my niece would be next. I panicked. I agreed. But I couldn't let Nia disappear forever. I couldn't let that happen. Not to her. Every part of me wanted to scream. Wanted to hurt her. Wanted her to feel the terror Mia felt, but something else took over focus. Where would the cabin be? I asked. Corinne hesitated. Mrs. Clark used to talk about a place in the hills. Somewhere remote. A safe house she used when things got risky. I don't know the exact location. But you know more, I said. Corinne nodded, trembling. I know it's north. Past the old quarry and there's a red gate. She mentioned it once. Liam pulled out his map. There are 2 old access roads north of the quarry. One leads to a hunting lodge. The other to private land. My heart raced. That's where we go. Corinne stepped toward me desperately. Eva, please be careful, Mrs. Clark, she's dangerous. You don't understand how far she go. I stared at her with a coldness I didn't track on his fineness. Oh, I understand, I whispered. More than you think. Liam placed a hand on my shoulder. We need to move, now. Every minute counts. I nodded. We turned toward the door. Corinne spoke one last time, her voice breaking. Ava, if you find her, tell Mia I'm sorry. I didn't turn around. I just stepped into the night, gripping the files in my hands. A fire inside me that nothing could put out. Mia was out there. Alive, waiting, and I was going to find her. Even if it meant burning the entire Clark empire to the ground. The woman behind the mask. The moment the warehouse door slammed shut behind me. I realized I had walked into something far darker than anything I had imagined. The lights flickered overhead cold, pale, buzzing like dying insects. The air smelled like rust, gasoline, and something faintly metallic. Something like blood. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. Mia? My voice broke. Mia, are you here? No answer, only the sound of water dripping somewhere in the darkness. Then a voice cut through the silence, smooth, sharp. Feminine, you're braver than I expected. I spun around. From the shadows stepped a tall woman in a long black coat, heels clicking against the concrete. Her face was partly hidden behind a half-mask, silver, elegant and haunting. Only her eyes were visible, cold and unreadable. For a second, I wondered if she was Mrs. Clark, but the posture, the voice, the energy... No, this woman was someone else. Someone worse. Who are you? I demanded. She didn't answer. Instead, she slowly circled around me like a predator assessing its prey. You came alone, she observed. Good girl. You follow instructions better than your sister. My chest tightened. Where is Mia? A soft laugh. Always straight to the point. Just like her. I took a cautious step forward. If you hurt her. Oh, I did, she said calmly. But only because she tried to run. My knees almost buckled. She tried to escape. The woman's silver mask glinted in the dim light as she nodded. She fought harder than anyone expected. Your sister is resilient. Annoyingly so. Anger burned through my fear. What do you want from us? Not you. She tilted her head. Just her, but why Mia? I whispered. That, she said, is the wrong question. Her heels clicked as she walked toward a large table in the center of the warehouse, papers, maps, files scattered across it. She picked up a photo and tossed it at my feet. It was of Mia, but not the Mia I knew. This Mia was working at a computer, headset on, surrounded by documents marked confidential. My breath caught. What is this? Your sister, the masked woman replied, was not who she pretended to be. I shook my head. No, Mia was a waitress. She lived a simple life. Perhaps that's the story she sold you. The woman leaned forward, voice dropping. But Mia Clark worked for us. My heart stopped. Clark? She is Mrs. Clark's daughter. I stared at her, stunned. The words hit me like a punch. That's impossible. Mia and I are not blood sisters, the woman finished calmly. You were raised together, yes. But biologically? No, my breathing turned shallow. The room spun for a moment. That's a lie, I whispered, shaking my head. A disgusting lie. The woman's cold eyes flashed. Believe what you want. It changes nothing. Mia was one of our analysts. Smart, observant, loyal, until she stole something valuable. My voice trembled. So what? A list, she answered simply. Names of people who were never meant to exist. I blinked. I don't understand. You don't have to. She walked toward me again, slower this time. You only need to answer one question. Her heels stopped inches from my shoes. If Mia gave that flash drive to you, where is it? My pulse raced. She didn't know. She didn't know I had it in my jacket. I don't have anything. I lied. The woman smiled beneath her mask, cold knowing. You're lying, Ava. Her hand shot out. Before I could move, her fingers were around my throat, not choking me, just warning me. You think you're protecting her, she whispered. But Mia doesn't need protection. She needs consequences. I forced myself not to break. Let me see her. No. Her grip tightened slightly. First, you tell me where the drive is. I told you, I coughed. I don't. Suddenly, the warehouse lights cut off. Everything went pitch black. Her hand released me instantly. A sharp curse echoed in the darkness. She's here. I froze. Who? Footsteps erupted from the opposite side of the warehouse, fast, heavy. A female voice shouted, Ava. Get down. I dropped to my knees just as bullets ripped through the air above me. The masked woman screeched. Ducking behind crates, the lights flickered back on, and there she was, Mrs. Clark, but not the calm, elegant woman I had met before. This. Mrs. Clark was armed, decisive, furious, and she was aiming directly at the masked. Woman, you don't touch my daughters, Mrs. Clark. Growled. Daughters. Plural. My entire world tilted. Before I could even process it, the masked woman vanished behind metal containers, and the warehouse exploded into chaos. Mrs. Clark grabbed my arm and pulled me up. Move, Ava. They're coming back with reinforcements. I staggered, breathless. Where is Mia? Her face twisted with fear and guilt. That's why we're here. She pointed at a locked steel door. She's behind that, and we don't have much time. Asterisk, the door that should never open. Asterisk, the metal door in front of me looked ordinary gray, scratched, and silent. But every instinct in my body screamed that whatever waited behind it would change everything forever. Mrs. Clark gripped my shoulder tightly. Her voice trembled just barely. She's in there. But listen to me, Ava, once we open this door, nothing goes back to the way it was. My hand shook. I don't care. I just need my sister. And Mrs. Clark swallowed hard, as if holding back something painful. She's more than your sister, Ava, and there are things you deserve to know. Another explosion echoed in the back of the warehouse. The masked woman's people were returning. We don't have time. I snapped. Open the door. Mr. Merslark didn't argue again. She typed a code into a small keypad, fingers moving fast. A thick bolt clanked from inside. The sound alone made my stomach flip. The door slowly creaked open. Inside, the room-cold air hit me first so cold it felt like winter trapped in a box. Blue lights glowed faintly from machines lined along the walls. Wires, monitors, and medical tools were scattered everywhere. Like a lab. Or a prison, and there she was, Mia, my little sister, except she didn't look little anymore. She sat on the floor, hands cuffed, hair messy, a bruise across her cheek. But her eyes sharp, aware, burning with the fire I had missed so much. Ava? Her voice broke into a whisper. I ran to her, dropping to my knees, pulling her into my arms. Hot tears blurred my vision. I'm here. I'm right here, Mia. I'm taking you home. Mia clung to me with shaking arms. But she didn't cry. Not like before. Instead, she whispered, "You shouldn't have come. They'll kill you." I shook my head. Not while I'm breathing. Mrs. Clark stepped closer, her own eyes glassy. Mia, sweetheart, I'm so sorry it came to this. Mia turned her face away. Don't call me that. The sting in those words made the room colder. I looked between them. Someone explain now. The truth Mia never told me. Mia inhaled sharply. I didn't tell you everything. About my job. About my past. I nodded slowly. Okay, tell me now. She avoided my eyes. I worked for Mrs. Clark. Not as a waitress, but as an analyst. I handled encrypted data. Sensitive data. Dangerous data. My chest tightened. I don't care what your job was. You're my sister. She shook her head. No, Ava, I'm not. Her voice was small, broken. I was adopted by your parents when I was 6. You were still a baby. You never knew. The world tilted again, the same way it had when the masked woman spoke. I grabbed her hands firmly. I don't care. You are my sister? Blood or not? You hear me? Her eyes filled with tears, and she nodded weakly. Mr. Merslark stepped forward, struggling to hold herself together. Mia was placed with your family to keep her hidden. She had information from me, information others wanted. That's why she was taken. But why now? I demanded. Why kidnap her after all these years? Mrs. Clark's expression darkened. Because Mia stole something from us. Mia looked up sharply. I stole it to protect people. Innocent lives. I touched her cheek gently. The flash drive? Her silence was enough. My breath caught. They're after me because they think I have it. Mia nodded slowly. I'm so sorry. Another loud crash thundered through the warehouse, closer this time. Mrs. Clark grabbed a small device and tossed it to me. Ava, take Mia and run. There's a tunnel behind that wall panel. It will lead you to the east side of the docks. What about you? I demanded. Mr. Merslark lifted her weapon, eyes cold, determined. I'll hold them off. Mia pulled away from me. No, Mom. They'll kill you. She called her Mom, not Mrs. Clark. Mom. My heart tightened painfully. My Mrs. Clark paused. Just for a second, her expression softening. You're my daughter. I'm not losing you again. Suddenly, bullets tore into the walls. The masked woman's voice echoed, Find the girls. Mrs. Clark shoved us toward the wall panel. Go. Mia hesitated for half a heartbeat, then grabbed my hand and pulled me through the panel. A narrow tunnel opened before us, dark, damp, endless. We started running. Behind us, the door slammed shut. Then, gunfire, screams, silence. Mia stumbled but kept running, breath ragged. Ava, what if she doesn't make it? I squeezed her hand harder. We're getting out first. Then we save her. We're not losing anyone. The tunnel grew tighter, colder. And somewhere deep inside. I felt it. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something much worse. Run. But don't look back. The tunnel swallowed us in darkness as Mia and I ran, our breaths echoing. Our footsteps splashing through shallow water. The air grew colder with every step, like we were heading deeper underground instead of toward any escape. I kept glancing over my shoulder even though I knew. I wouldn't see anything. The door behind us had slammed shut, cutting off Mrs. Clark's voice. And the gunfire. My chest tightened. Was she alive? Was she fighting alone? Or no, I forced the thought away. I couldn't do that to Mia, not now. Not when she was already trembling beside me. Ava, Mia whispered, slowing down. I can't keep running like this. I grabbed her hand tighter. You don't have a choice. Not until we're out. Her steps weakened. If she's dead, it's because of me. I stopped, turned to face her, and cupped her cheeks. No, if anything happens to her, it's because those people are monsters. Not because you fought to do the right thing. Not because you survived. Her eyes shimmered in the dim glow of the emergency lights lining the tunnel. Why didn't you just let them take me? She whispered. You could have stayed safe. I almost laughed bitter, exhausted. Safe? Without you, nothing in my life would be safe. You're my family, Mia, blood or not. She swallowed hard and nodded. The tunnel suddenly widened into a larger chamber. Old pipes, cracked walls, rust dripping from metal beams. A faint breeze blew from ahead, carrying the smell of salt water. The docks, Mia breathed. We're close. But before relief could wash over us, a noise echoed behind us. A metallic clang. Then another. Footsteps. Echoing. Closing in. Mia stiffened. They found the tunnel. Keep moving, I whispered. We sprinted toward the faint light ahead, but the footsteps behind us multiplied. More voices, more echoes, more danger. Panic shot through me like ice. We burst out of the tunnel and into the open air, the night wind slapping my face. The docks stretched before us, quiet but eerie under the moonlight. Shipping crates towered around us like dark skeletons. Where now? Maya asked, panting. I scanned the docks quickly. That boat, I said, pointing to a small fishing vessel tied loosely at the far end. If we can start it, we can get far enough to call for help. But before we can move, a voice froze us. Well, you two made quite the escape. We turned. The masked woman stepped out from behind a stack of crates, coat flowing, mask gleaming like a predator's smile. Two armed men flanked her. Mia's hand slid into mine instinctively. Run when I say, I whispered. The masked woman tilted her head. Still protecting her, Ava? Admirable, but useless. She lifted a gun. Hand over the flash drive. I stiffened. I had hidden it in my jacket since the beginning. She still didn't know. Mia spoke before I could answer. I took it to protect people, not to hurt you. You stole from us, the woman hissed. And you involved your sister. She was never part of this. But now? She has to be. The gun shifted toward me. Mia screamed, nitrogen monoxide, and stepped in front of me. But the masked woman didn't shoot. She smiled, cold, calculating. You want to know the truth, Ava? She asked softly. Mia didn't just steal the list. She decrypted it. She knows the names. She memorized them. Your sister's sweet, quiet Mia is the single biggest threat to our entire network. Mia's breath hitched. Stop, please. So yes, the woman continued, lifting the gun higher, we need the drive. But more than that, we need her. My heart hammered against my ribs. I squeezed Mia's hand. Then I made a decision. I stepped in front of her. You're going to have to go through me. The woman sighed. Very well. She pulled the trigger, but instead of a bullet hitting me, a deafening blast erupted from behind us. Followed by a scream, the masked woman staggered as a bullet tore into her shoulder. We spun around. Mrs. Clark stood on the docks, bloody, limping but alive, holding a gun with shaking hands. Run. Girls, she gasped. Run. The armed men panicked and opened fire in her direction. No. Mia screamed. I pulled her with all my strength and sprinted toward the boat. Gunshots ricocheted off metal crates. Then Mrs. Clark fired again, hitting one of the men. Mia stumbled but kept running. Tears streamed down her face. She came for us. She actually came. We reached the boat. I pushed Mia onto it, untied the rope with trembling hands, and jumped aboard. The engine sputtered but roared to life. Bullets splashed into the water beside us. The masked woman screamed, Stop them! But the boat tore away from the dock. Mia collapsed beside me. Sobbing, I held her, shaking, breathless, behind us. Mr. Merslark fell to her knees, still shooting, still protecting us, until the boat drifted too far for me to see her anymore, for the first time in days. The world fell silent. Mia whispered, "Ava? What do we do now?" I looked at the dark horizon ahead, the unknown, the danger, the answers we still needed, and I whispered the only word that felt right. Fight.